I bought 6.1 pristine acres during the housing bubble of COVID for under $50K. If you want to buy acreage for your homestead or farm, but don't know how to do it, this video is for you. All right, so I'm going to tell you a story about how I helped my family acquire this 6.1 acre property in 2022. My family has been wanting to buy more acreage since 2017. And so in 2021, I got my real estate license and I started looking. So I found an amazing technique that I'm going to teach you guys today on how you can find your own plot of land for a really good price. And it starts with this app, Onyx. So this amazing app right here, it allows you to look at property lines and see who owns them, how big they are, the sizes, the borders, etc. The Onyx app also has a lot of different layers that you can use to see elevation changes, water sources, and a whole lot more. And it's quite affordable. I think I paid $25 for one whole year for the state of Idaho. Also, if you like hunting, it's the best hunting app out there to mark territories where you go hunting. All right, so let's get into the story of how we acquired this 6.1 acre lot. So I got my real estate license in 2021. In early 2022, I started using the Onyx app to look at all the neighboring properties around my house to see who owned them and to see if maybe they would sell it to me. I found a lot right next door to us that was 6.1 acres, and I found the owner's name. So the first thing I did is I started doing some research. I figured out who the guy was, and I found him on LinkedIn. What I did is I reached out to the owner of this plot of land. I shot him a message on LinkedIn, and then he messaged me back asking if he could jump on a phone call with me. And all I said was, "Hey, I'm your neighbor. I own this lot next to you. I just wanted to chat with you about the lot." That's all I said to him, and then he asked for my phone number and for a phone call. So he calls me. We get on the phone, and he gives me his life spiel for about an hour long. He tells me about his kids, his wife, and all this stuff, things unrelated to the lot of land next to me, and all I did was sit and listen. At the end of his 1 hour rant, he ends asking me if I would buy his 6.1 lot of acreage from him. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. That's why I actually got in contact with you, is I wanted to buy this lot of land. So he actually had an offer from a lumber company already for about $47,000 for this lot of land. And he said he would match it for me and he'd rather sell it to me than the lumber company. So immediately I was like, done, let's get the paperwork going. He was an ex-realtor. I still have my real estate license at the time. I still technically have my real estate license right now. I'm just non-practicing. And we got the paperwork done, signed, and bought it within less than a month. So that is how we acquired this lot of land. So on top of this, right after we bought that lot of land, we listed it within less than a year. And as soon as we listed it, within 24 hours, we had a showing on this lot and we got an offer for $200,000 cash. $50K purchase price, actually it was less, it was 47 point something K. And then immediately within less than a year, we got a $200K offer. We ended up turning down that offer, so we're just holding on to the land now, and now we have this acreage right next to our home so that we can expand our homestead. All right, and if you don't believe that this technique can work for you, where you look somebody up on Onyx, find them on social media platform, and then reach out to them, and then see if they would sell you their land lot or their house that's not currently for sale, then I want you to do me a favor. Go look up some real estate specialists online and find other stories of this. I'll give you another example. If you know the musician Vanilla Ice, he, after his career died, he became a real estate guy. He uses this exact technique to find properties that he wants to buy, renovate, and flip. And so he has a story where he bought a house in Malibu from a homeowner whose wife had passed away and his kids don't talk to him anymore. So he drove past this property, noticed that the pool was full of stuff. It hadn't been cleaned in a long time. The windows were boarded up. It just looked like it was dilapidated in a multi-million-dollar area in Malibu, California. And typically, if this house were in good shape, it would sell for over $10 million. And so he knocked on the door, met the owner. The owner gave him his life story, just like I was given the life story of the guy who owned this lot of land right here. It ended up figuring out that his wife had passed and his kids don't talk to him anymore. And so he offered to buy the guy's house. The guy said, "Please make me an offer. I want to sell it." and he gave him an extremely low ball offer, probably somewhere around $1 million, and the guy accepted it. And he just bought a van with that money and drove off and lived in the wilderness. So this just shows you that there are other people implementing this technique and getting extreme deals. So you can do the exact same thing. All right, so let's go over all these sales tactics, and then I'll add a couple more gold nuggets you can add to help you find the right homestead or farm plot of land. And if you're looking for residential property, this also works. More people do this with residential property than they do with land lots. So I just recreated this technique and used it to buy us a land lot, and I'm going to be using it to buy more land lots in the future. So here's the whole technique. Get the Onyx app or another app that you can see property owners' names on land lots. Go drive to a desired area where you would like to buy property. It does not need to be near your current house or rental. You can just go to a desired area where you want to buy land and drive that land up and down. Get familiar with the rows. 3, start finding who the owners of these land lots are or residential properties. The benefit of doing this with residential properties is you can knock on the door to meet the owner. For land lots, you can't, so that's why we have the Onyx app or another app that can help you find the landowner's name. Step 4, look up the owner on social media, Google, or another source. Step 5, contact them, introduce yourself, tell them that your goal is to own lands or residential property in X, Y, and Z area. And so you're reaching out to landowners in this area to see if they might be willing to consider selling their land lot. And that's how you start this process. Then you want to think about what type of offer you'd be willing to make on that land lot. Look up prices in the area. If you don't know what the property is worth, it's good to do some research. On that note, though, you have a dollar amount that you want to spend for land, and it doesn't hurt to ask. That's where the more quantity of land lots that you reach out to, the more potential opportunities you'll have to buy the land lot of your dreams. So think of a number that you want to buy a property for that you think is, below what current market price is, but it's not totally unreasonable. And then that's what you're going to come in and say, hey, I would like to buy your land. I'm wondering if you'd consider this price point. So offer them that price point. One more additional step you might want to consider adding before you give them the offer price is get to know them a little bit. Figure out what their situation is, ask them about their family, ask them where they live, what do they do for a career, what are their goals, etc. So get to know the person a little bit. And then after you go through this process where you have reached out to the person, you've got to know them a little bit, you've made them an offer, at that point, you just got to see if they'll say yes. And sometimes people will tell you no initially and then later come back and take your offer. So keep them on a list. I suggest you get like an Excel sheet or a Google Sheets doc and put these all into a list. And you can even take pictures of your Onyx map. You can just do a screenshot and you can add it to your Google Sheets or Google Docs, and you can mark off properties that are no's or you can't find the owner or something along those lines, or maybe even put a check mark near properties that are hot. Now, is this an overnight thing where you look at one lot of lands and they're automatically going to be a person that wants to sell the property? Absolutely not. You need to do this probably about 100 times, which sounds like a lot, but if you can get a dream property for a premium price, it is worth calling 100 people to get that. I'm a salesman on the side. I do sometimes over 100 phone calls in a day. So you can easily go and pick 100 properties in one area, find out who the owners are, contact them, and see if they'd be willing to sell. The best deals are off-market listings, period. A property or a plot of land is for sale on the market on the MLS. Everybody will know about it, and chances are it's going to be listed for the current market price. So off-market deals, that's where you're going to find the real great pricing. On top of that, something that you can learn from the Vanilla Ice deal is distressed properties are going to be some of the best ones that you can get a premium price for. So Vanilla Ice found a property that looked like it was distressed. He saw the pool had a bunch of stuff in it, hadn't been cleaned, the windows are boarded up, etc. It looked like grass was overgrown. Those are great signs that this property could be a good one for buying. Now, there were no structural problems or anything like that for the property. It just simply hadn't been cleaned in a while. So that's a sign that somebody's not taking care of it, so they might want to offload it from their hands. The same thing goes from land. If you see land lots where it's just heavily treed, like this one is heavily treed, we had to excavate to build this corral for the cows. Heavily treed properties are probably just sitting in somebody's hands and they might need to get rid of it. That's a great one. Look for signs of distress or signs of lack of use. So heavily treed properties, you know, maybe overgrown grass, you know, maybe there's a bunch of vehicles parked on a property, you know, maybe it's one of those redneck properties that has a bunch of broken down cars on it. That could be a good opportunity to buy a sweet land lot, and all you got to do is get rid of those cars. You know, just have people come out and, you know, take pieces off the cars and then scrap the rest, you know, and you might even be able to make some money off the vehicles. Look for distressed properties. This is pretty much the whole technique. It comes down to a numbers game. The more people you contact, the more likely you are to find a deal. I've had success with this opportunity, and I know other people have had a lot of success with this as well. If you're patient, if you're persistent, you can find the homestead or farm of your dreams. So go get out there and look for some gold. God bless.